Right then, lads, welcome back to Kossi's Arsenal podcast. My name is Kossi. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a brand new video. This is your Mikel Arteta press conference reaction. He was speaking ahead of the Brentford game and a couple of reassurances on Ben White and Emil Smith-Rowe, but I think there is no positive news from him on Alexander Zinchenko. We'll talk about Mikel Arteta winning the Manager of the Month award and his reaction to that as well. So hit the like button, subscribe to the podcast as well. We're very close to 60,000 subscribers. If you can help us get there, it will be massively appreciated. So let's get into Mikel Arteta's press conference and what he spoke about this afternoon. So first and foremost, he was asked about winning the Manager of the Month award, and he said, look, it's a great it's quite great. I think it's a sign that the team is really performing well, the team is winning football matches, and it is a consequence of that. Thank you to all the people involved at the club that contribute to us on a daily basis, who make our job a little bit easier and possible, and obviously to the players who are always on the pitch and the field making a difference and helping us winning the games, and to our supporters, thank you very much. So, look, Mikel, for me, I'm going to say one thing, 100% deserves to win that award. Five wins out of the 5 opening games. You cannot, convince me otherwise. Now, look, yes, we've lost the Manchester United game in October, but really that doesn't mean anything. In September, but that doesn't mean anything. His performances in August were absolutely spot on. So he was also asked on whether the Manager of the Month award is a reflection of good recruitment, and he said it's a reflection of everything, because you can have all those things and you can still lose football matches, and then you're not going to get this award. At the end of the day, it's about being consistent and trying to get all these right decisions every single day. Then you have to put them into practice as much as possible in football games, which at the end of the day decides the momentum of the club. It's partly due to good recruitment that we've had a very good start to a campaign. But for me, it is just not about the recruitment only. It's about giving Mikel Arteta time. Some of us never wanted him here in the last 2 years, but it's about giving him time. It's about allowing him to have an impact on this team, and it's also allowing him to sign the kind of players that he wants, set the standards that he wants, and also set the culture that Arsenal Football Club deserves. So for me, having the Manager of the Manager of the Month award, it is just a small reflection of what is happening, at this football club currently. On the passing of Queen Elizabeth II, I said, I think it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal what the country has done. I think it shows the level of respect and the admiration and the legacy of the Queen and what she has left in life of so many. So I think it was very, very emotional, and coming from a different country and culture, to see that reaction was pretty special. I think it says a lot about who she was and what she's left behind. Look, the cancellation of games is still a debate, but the culture in the UK and the respect, the admiration of the Queen, there is no doubt about that. That will never be in doubt. For me, the question is, should games be called off, or is it better to celebrate with games going on? But anyway, the decision was already made. We cannot turn things around. On being concerned about loss of momentum, he said what happened obviously happened for really important reasons, and we are always available to play. But there are the police, there are the authorities, and other people who have to make the right decision. The decision was made, and we have adapted our schedule to be as competitive as possible for Sunday, like any other team. Now, for me, look, I think all Arsenal fans will agree with me here. We are the most affected team with rescheduling of games. We are the most affected team because there is no other team in the Premier League that needed their momentum as Arsenal. There is no other team. We were the only team on top of the table, and we needed to bounce back against Manchester United, because United beat us. I think it was going to be against Everton, March day 7. We needed to bounce back. So our momentum has been played with. You've not played in Europe. Other clubs have played in Europe. Then you're playing in the Premier League. Other clubs are not playing in the Premier League. It's quite disruptive. But I just pray in October, when we come back, Mikel Arteta treats October as a new clean slate, because we need that. We desperately need to have a clean slate in October. Very difficult games to come. In October, you have Spurs, which could also be postponed. By the way, can you imagine Arsenal having Manchester City postponed, Spurs postponed, and Everton postponed? It is ridiculous. So you have Spurs, you have Liverpool, you have a couple of other hard fixtures to come in October. But anyway, the momentum is gone now. I don't think Arsenal are still dreaming about that. Even if we are, it is no longer available, for us to take. On being relieved that the Brentford game wasn't called off, it says we need to play and we want to play games. When you look at the schedule after the World Cup, especially, or what we have to go through in October, we need to play the games, because if not, it is just impossible. And this is what I'm talking about. I think there is an industrial strike with the guys working on the trains and everything. So we might have Arsenal Spurs postponed or called off, because between 2nd and 5th you have an industrial strike, right? I think in the train departments and what. So look, in October we have 9 fixtures. In November, in the first 12 days of November, around 4-5 fixtures. It's a lot, right? And to keep on postponing games, it's not helping our players. It's not helping our team. It is just, it's just actually making life harder. So I agree with Mikel here. It says on facing Brentford, it says, well, I think they are really, really a good side. I think what Thomas has done and the staff have done there, not only this year, but over the years, I think it is just remarkable. The way they have performed and the results they got against top clubs as well, especially at home, just sets the tone and what is going to happen on Sunday. We are very, very aware of how difficult it is going to be to beat them. So we've already talked about the tactics and how Brentford play and how you can beat Brentford. They're never an easy side. No, the fact that they have the courage to play a 4-3-3 in the Premier League means they know what they're doing, they trust what they're doing, and they're 100% committed to what they are doing. They're a really well-coached side, well-managed side. They're remarkable. You look at that front three. If they had added Mikhailo Modric, it would have been some fire to the flying pan. But again, Johan Wissa, Evan Toney, Brian Wemo, and of course the midfield three of Jensen and the likes of Christian Nogard and Janet, they are really a difficult side. So if anyone thinks Arsenal are walking to the GTEC Stadium to walk away with 3 points easily, it cannot be that. It really cannot be that. They're beatable, of course. Fulham have already shown us that you can beat them. Arsenal beatable as well. Man United have shown us you can beat Arsenal. So it's going to be quite a thrilling encounter. Mikel Arteta on Thomas Frank, the manager at Brentford, it says, I think he's done an incredible job with himself and the coaching staff, the club, the clarity, the philosophy and the vision that they had, and how they have actually executed it, how they are constantly evolving. I think they deserve a lot of praise for what they have done. Look, for me, Thomas Frank is one of the best tacticians in the mid-table division. One of the best tacticians. I might not rank him ahead of Graham Potter. Sorry, Chelsea fans. I think Graham Potter is still a mid-table tactician unless he proves to us. But I would take Thomas Frank all day over David Moyes. I would take Thomas Frank over Steven Gerrard. I would take Thomas Frank over Frank Lampard. Forget all this kind of hype that these English guys have. Thomas Frank is a very, very good manager. And what he's done with Brentford, you look at the discipline, you look at how the organization, you look at how precise they are, the norms and how and the culture he's built at the GTEC Stadium. He's he's a wonderful manager. And the difference between this season and when we faced Brentford last campaign, It says, he said, this is Arsenal Football Club. It's everybody's club and everybody's contributing the right way. Obviously, the context has changed. The environment has changed. And we have to maintain it as it is for a very, very long time. So, look, I think there's a huge difference between the Arsenal that played Brentford last campaign and the Arsenal that's going to play Brentford this campaign. And Brentford, of course, they've already realized that when they came to the Emirates Stadium in the second leg of last campaign, did they score? I think they scored. It ended 2-1 or 2-0. I think it was 2-1. So it was a totally different game. And now they're coming into this game as underdogs. You know, believe me, they're coming into this fixture as real underdogs. They're gonna play an Arsenal side that has 5 wins out of the last 6 6 games, and in all competitions we've lost 1 game out of our last 7. So if you're going to play that kind of Arsenal, that kind of team, you better be prepared. We score goals, we defend well, our midfield is working well, and our players have a lot of belief at the new signings we have, because anyone could say they're predictable. But what makes us very unpredictable is the new signings and the kind of impact they're already having on this Arsenal side. So let's wait and see whether there will be a difference. Whether, again, they're still at home. They're still at the G-Tech. They have not yet suffered from the second season syndrome. So I don't think anyone is going to say they've been found out. So it's going to be a very, very difficult encounter. On Ivan Toney's career path, Mikhail says, I think it's a great story. This is a country that has had stories like this in the last few years. The same with Jamie Vardy. I think it's quite extraordinary. It means that again, the opportunities are open to everybody. That is just about showing consistency, showing quality and belief. It can happen at any age, and it isn't something that is determined already. If you do not go through that phase in that period of life, you still can become a professional player, a top player, and an international player. So I think it's great. It's great a thing. Look, with Ivan Toney, I don't know how old is he. I think, but I'm looking at him and all the news now around him. Man United, linked with Arsenal in the summer, linked with Spurs in the summer as well, and a couple of other big clubs. For me, Chelsea should sign him. They're looking for someone who can work the channels. They're looking for a target man. They're looking for someone who is intelligent up top. Ivan Toney is that kind of guy. So his story as well is quite incredible, because if you look at what the work he did for, it wasn't from Brentford. It was for it was for Brentford in the Championship. Bring them up. His combination with Brian Wemo was absolutely amazing. I think he scored 40 plus goals in the Championship, and he was linked with Arsenal that summer. So, look, you can even argue that he's one of the best in the Premier League now. One of the best strikers in the Premier League. Forget the hat-trick, forget this season, but look at the attributes he has as a player. I mean, he's a refined piece. I won't be very surprised if he ends up at a big, at a big club. Probably, like I said, Chelsea could sign him. Graham Potter needs a player like him, a clinical finisher, but also someone who can work the channels. On whether he will motivate players using tweets like last season, and he says, I haven't written the script yet for that one. I'm sorry. If you have any ideas, just give them to me. I've run out of ideas. I think Ben Ward was speaking about Mikel Arteta, and he says he's a manager where you don't know what is coming. You don't know how he's going to motivate you. You don't know how he's going to criticize you. You don't know what is coming in training. So let's wait and see how he's going to motivate players this season. On Ivan Toney's tweets in particular, he says anybody can write whatever he wants, and I'm here I'm here to judge if it's necessary to use it in a way that I believe is most powerful. I won't react to that, but of course was it last campaign? On whether he would want his players to tweet like that. He says, I like my players to act in a certain way, and I'm happy with the way they are acting. Okay. On the team news ahead of the Sunday game, it says, unfortunately, updates will be tomorrow. Whoever will have been ruled out, that is going to be tomorrow. We have those 24 hours to see. 1 or 2 can be considered tomorrow for training. and for selection, and that will be key in the next 24 hours. So look, on Sunday, I think by Sunday we'll talk about Zinchenko because it talks about Zinchenko, but on Sunday, Ben White and Alexander Zinchenko for me will not make it to the squad. I won't be very surprised if the likes of Emile Smith-Rowe as well, although they are giving us this kind of confidence, are not in the squad until after the World Cup. Emile Smith-Rowe's fitness, he says it's been going on. It's been an ongoing issue that is hard. He's had some discomfort in the groin area. Unfortunately, he hasn't had any continuity this season, and it's something we are trying to assess and trying to help him as much as possible in any way that we can, because we need him to be fit. We need him available, and we need him performing at his best level because he's such an important player for us. Unfortunately, for this period and for periods last year, we haven't had him. So look, with Emile Smith-Rowe, a few stories coming out are indicating that it is not an injury. It is just pain in the groin. Now, I don't understand the difference between pain in the groin and not an injury. But Mikel says not available for now. And I'm telling you, Emile Smith-Rowe might miss the World Cup. That is in my opinion. On Alexander Zinchenko's fitness, he says, again, we have to wait until tomorrow to make that decision. Where he was on that moment, and where we have decided on what we have decided to do for the international week doesn't mean that we are going to say the same thing for the weekend. So it's something we will address tomorrow. On Ben White's absence from the World Cup, from the England squad, not the World Cup. It says he's been played in both positions, centre back and right back. Sometimes he's been selected, sometimes not. I think to have versatile players that can play at the level that Ben can in both positions at centre back and at full back is something that, in my opinion, any manager wants, especially when you go to a tournament where a lot of things can happen. That's Gareth Southgate's decision and his coaching staff. And what I can tell you is whenever Ben gets the call, he will be ready. So I think Mikel is denying the fact that Ben is having a thigh injury and a knee injury. But sources close to the national team indicate that Ben was left out due to a thigh and knee injury. So let's wait and see what is going to come out of that. I have 2 hours to manage my FPL team. Any ideas in the comment section? I really, really appreciate it. On picking players on form, says Gareth picks the best team, the best squad that he believes in. For now, it doesn't mean that that's going to be the case for November. The squad they have available is just incredible, and everything that we can do to help Ben, we are trying to do so. Look, I don't think it should be a big fuss that Ben White is not in the England squad. It shouldn't be a big fuss. We have Saka there, we have Ramsdale there. I don't think it should be a very, very big fuss. Honestly, in my opinion. So on Ben White's fitness, it says Ben White is fit. Okay, Ben White is fit. That is according to Mikel Arteta. On Gabriel Jesus not being able to make it to the Brazilian squad, it says I haven't been given a reason why. What I have to do is try to convince the players that they have to continue to do that, put their heads down, accept the decision that is made by the coach of the national team, and give them even more reason, if necessary, that they have to be selected. That is the way the boys reacted, and that's and there is nothing else to comment on. Now, I've seen a few stories that he could be injured. Gabriel Jesus, that he's not 100% fit. I think that is absolute BS. He's fit. He was just left out, and Mikel says he was not given a reason. Quite ridiculous. Because he was called every weekend, every international break. He was called playing for Manchester City while he was not playing regularly. Now he's playing for Arsenal regularly, and he's doing well, and they're not calling him. Interesting. On Marquinhos' performance against FC Zurich, it says I was looking more at the faces of the rest of the staff and players. He's very popular with no English, just with his smile and attitude. He has earned the respect and admiration of everybody here. It is a big step for him because he hasn't played enough minutes with us, but we are willing to give him the opportunity. I think he deserved it. I think he took it really, really well, and he's a player that needs to keep developing, and in order to do so, we need to give him the opportunities. So, look, I mean, I was quite impressed with Marquinhos as well, and I know Mikel was impressed. He's not the manager that comes out in press conferences and says, I'm so impressed with this guy. But trust me, when he says such words, he is impressed. On Tomiyasu's versatility, he says he can't play central defender as well. Toney has been playing at left centre back for his national team, Japan. When you look at the games, he can't play as a left back because you cannot tell him. Because you cannot tell me if he's a left or right-footed player. So we have options there, and we have to utilize them in the best way possible. On whether this weekend is an opportunity to open a gap with the rest of the players, with the rest of the teams. It says we have to win our matches. Everybody's going to play the same amount of games. But again, obviously seeing the table and where we are and where we want to continue to be, it's always going to be important emotionally in terms of belief. So I think it is helpful to keep on winning. And finally, on Arsene Wenger returning to the club one day, says I would love that. I think he has explained it. I think he has every window and every door in this football club open whenever he's ready and whenever he feels it is the right moment for him to do that. So that is Mikel Arteta speaking ahead of the Brentford game. Lots of injury news to dive into. Alexander Zinchenko, we will know tomorrow. The likes of Ben White are fit. Thomas Partey not mentioned anywhere, so Thomas Partey is fit as well. I think that's a double injury burst. Yeah, that's kind of a double injury burst. Explaining my headline. So that is an easy way to pick a headline for this video. So double injury boost for Ben White and Thomas Partey, scare for Zinchenko and Emil Smith-Rowe, and we'll speak about the starting lineup today at exactly 9 p.m. See you soon.